Close your eyes and picture the Monopoly man. You know him, the rich guy from the board game with his top hat, mustache, and monocle, right? That little round eyeglass sitting on his eye. That's not right. He's never had a monocle. This has never happened in over 80 years of Monopoly history. Or how about this famous line from Star Wars, "Luke, I am your father." But Darth Vader never said those words. The actual line is, "No, I am your father." These aren't just small mistakes. These are vivid, confident memories shared by millions of people worldwide. Memories so strong that people will argue with you when you show them the evidence. Welcome to the Mandela effect. This is a term for people's recollections of Nelson Mandela that are inaccurate. Many people remember him as having died in prison in the 1980s, when in fact he lived until 2013. Here's a scary question to think about. If millions of people are wrong about these simple, easy-to-check facts, how reliable are your most important personal memories? What if memory isn't an exact record of your past, but a story you unconsciously rewrite every time you tell it? By the time you finish watching this video, you'll start to question everything you thought you knew about yourself. What I'm about to reveal will completely change your understanding of identity. You'll see that your brain is like a master storyteller, but a storyteller that's been lying to you your whole life. Here's the catch. Once you learn how this works, you'll gain 3 superpowers that can change your life. What was the most unsettling part? The person you were 5 minutes ago before watching this video might as well be a stranger. And that's just the beginning. Your brain is not a video camera. It's not even a very good filing cabinet. It's like a Wikipedia page that anyone can edit. This includes you, without your permission, every single night while you sleep. Memory is a process of reconstruction, not playback. Every time you remember something, you're not accessing a stored file. You're rebuilding that memory from different parts, and each time you do, you change it a little. It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy. With each generation, the image gets worse and more distorted. This isn't a flaw in your thinking, it's a feature. Your ancestors who could quickly understand incomplete information survived better than those who stood paralyzed, trying to remember exact details while a predator approached. But the implications are staggering. Karim Nader, a neuroscientist, discovered that memories become chemically unstable every time they're recalled. This process is called reconsolidation. This means that the memories you treasure most, the ones you've thought about hundreds of times, are probably the most distorted versions of what really happened. Now, let me tell you about Dr. Elizabeth Loftus. Her research showed that people's memories can be changed. In her famous car crash experiment, she showed participants videos of car accidents. Then came the important trick. She asked some people, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? While asking others, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? People estimated significantly higher speeds after hearing the word smashed. But here's the surprising part. A week later, she asked everyone if they remembered seeing broken glass in the footage. People who heard smashed were twice as likely to say they saw broken glass where there wasn't any. A single word had made people remember something that didn't happen so well that they would swear they saw it with their own eyes. This is an example of the misinformation effect. Your brain doesn't just store memories. It also edits them based on new information, suggestions, and your current emotional state. Anytime you talk about something that happened in the past, it changes how you remember it. Think about your childhood memories. Have your family members ever told stories about things you supposedly did or said? How many photographs have you seen of events you think you remember? Your brain has blended these outside experiences with your personal story in such a way that it's hard to tell where your real memories end and the borrowed ones begin. Here's an example from the real world. You remember your first day of school well. Your mom walked you to the classroom. You had a new backpack. You smelled the fresh crayons. But what if I told you that you've seen home videos of that day dozens of times over the years? What you think is a personal memory might actually be a reconstruction based on watching yourself on tape. You're remembering the memory of the experience, not the experience itself. This phenomenon affects many things, like what people say in court and how you understand your own relationships. Have you ever had an argument with a friend or family member about what really happened? You were both completely sure of your version, both completely honest, and possibly both wrong. The criminal justice system has been dealing with this reality for decades. DNA evidence has proven that many people were wrongly convicted because of eyewitnesses who were mistaken. These weren't cases of lying witnesses. These were cases of honest people who had created false memories so convincing that they passed lie detector tests. But memory isn't always reliable. Sometimes it gives us the wrong information. Your brain makes up false memories while you're asleep. As you dream, your mind processes the day's experiences, but it doesn't keep a strict line between what actually happened and what you imagined, worried about, or dreamed. All of these things are stored in your memory. Dr. Lynn Nadel's research shows that your brain processes imagined events and real events almost identically. This means that the vivid daydreams you have, like the ones about confronting your boss, the detailed fantasies about what you'd say to an ex, or the elaborate worry scenarios about a future disaster, are all stored alongside your real-life experiences. Over time, the source monitoring becomes unclear. Did that confrontation actually happen? Or did you just imagine it so vividly that it feels real? This isn't just interesting science, it's changing how we understand human behavior. False memories are not rare glitches, they are the normal way human consciousness works. Your brain is always making sense of incomplete, contradictory, and sometimes made-up information. You're living in a story that your mind is making up as you go along. Now we arrive at the truly unsettling question. If our memories are so easily changed, what exactly makes us who we are? In the 17th century, the philosopher John Locke said that who we are as people is connected to how we remember things. You are who you are because you remember being that person yesterday, last week, last year. Memories connect your past self to your present self. If you didn't have them, you'd feel like a stranger to yourself every morning. But if memories are basically made-up stories, what does that say about who you are? Here's a thought experiment to consider. Imagine you could listen to a perfect, unedited recording of a conversation you had with a close friend 5 years ago. Now, compare that to how you remember the conversation you just had. Studies show that they would be very different, not just in details, but also in tone, content, and emotional impact. The you who experienced that conversation and the you who remembers it are practically different people. This relates to a deep philosophical puzzle called the ship of Theseus paradox. If you replace every plank of a ship one by one, is it still the same ship? Also, if your brain replaces every memory with a slightly different version over time, are you still the same person? Memory researchers now believe that we don't have one continuous self. We have multiple selves across time, loosely connected by evolving narratives and constantly updated memories. The person you were in high school didn't just change and grow. They might as well be a completely different person who happens to share your name and some genetic material. This has huge implications for how we think about personal responsibility, relationships, and growth. When someone says, "You're not the same person I married," they might be more literally correct than they realize. Your spouse's memories, experiences, and brain patterns from 10 years ago have been completely replaced. This means that you're now with a different person who has some old memories and thinks they're the same person. But here's where it gets complicated. Your current emotions can shape your past in unexpected ways. When you're depressed, you remember more negative things and fewer positive things. When you're happy, your brain focuses on positive memories and ignores negative ones. Your current self is always making changes to your past self to keep your thoughts in order. Dr. Daniel Schachter calls this the sin of bias, one of the 7 ways memory fails us. Your memories aren't just unreliable, they're distorted by your current beliefs, emotions, and identity. If you see yourself as a victim, your brain will highlight memories that support that idea and ignore ones that contradict it. If you see yourself as strong, the same events are seen as evidence of your strength. This bias also affects how we remember other people. Studies show that when relationships end badly, people tend to forget the good times with their ex. It's not that they're choosing to focus on the negative. Their brains are actually suppressing access to contradictory memories to maintain psychological consistency. This has huge and disturbing implications for the justice system. In the past, eyewitness accounts were considered the best kind of evidence, but now we understand that they are often unreliable. The Innocence Project has used DNA evidence to prove that over 375 people were wrongly convicted. In more than 70% of these cases, the wrongful convictions happened because of mistaken eyewitness identification. These weren't cases of people lying on purpose. These were honest, well-meaning people whose brains had made false memories so vivid and emotionally compelling that they were willing to send someone to prison based on their recollections. They had complete confidence in their memories, but they were completely wrong. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery is how easily false memories can be implanted. Dr. Loftus has shown that with just a few well-placed suggestions and some fake evidence, she can make people believe they remember entire events that never happened. In one study, she made 25% of the people think they had been lost in a shopping mall as a child. They even remembered crying, being scared, and being rescued by an elderly person. None of these events actually happened. The techniques she used weren't complicated psychological tricks. They were the kinds of conversations that happen naturally in families every day. Remember when you got lost at the mall? You were so scared. Mom was really worried looking for you. With enough repetition and social approval, these suggestions became the same as real memories. This makes us wonder deeply about what is true and who we really are. If we can make basic memories in the lab, what does it mean to know yourself? If you don't know much about your own history, how can you make good decisions about your future? The answer, paradoxically, might be liberating. If your identity is already a fluid narrative constructed by your brain, then you have more control over that narrative than you might think. You're not discovering who you are, you're actively creating who you are every single day through the stories you choose to tell yourself about your experiences. This knowledge shouldn't make you feel hopeless. It should make you feel strong. Knowing that memory can change makes you better able to deal with life. Superpower 1: Humility. The first superpower is intellectual humility. When you understand that your memories are like recreations instead of actual recordings, you become less sure about your version of events and more open to seeing things from other people's points of view. This one change can completely change your relationships. Think about the last time you had a disagreement with a friend, family member, or partner about something that happened in the past. You were probably both absolutely convinced of your version of the truth and frustrated by the other person's stubborn refusal to acknowledge the truth. Now you know better. Your certainty has no value when it comes to memory. Your brain is designed to feel confident about false information. This kind of humility is not just for personal relationships. It makes you a better person, better at your job, and better at making decisions. If you stop being so attached to your version of events, you can actually hear what others are saying. You become curious and collaborative instead of defensive and combative. Sarah, a corporate manager I know, changed her leadership style after learning about memory's unreliability. Instead of starting off by saying, "Here's what happened," she began with, "Here's how I remember it. What's your perspective?" This simple change reduced workplace conflicts by 60% in her department and greatly improved team performance. Superpower 2: Presence. The second superpower is radical presence. If you don't remember the past well and you don't plan for the future, then you should focus on the present. It's the only reality you can actually experience. This isn't just theoretical, it's practical wisdom. If you stop thinking about the past or future, you'll be better at dealing with the present. You make better decisions because you're working with real information instead of stories that someone made up. Marcus, a businessman, learned this during a very stressful time for his business. He spent hours each day thinking about past mistakes and worrying about future catastrophes. When he realized that his regrets and anxieties were mostly imaginary, he started using that mental energy to solve problems in the present moment. His business improved a lot, and he felt much less stressed. The practice is simple but powerful. When you catch yourself thinking about a memory or a future conversation, ask yourself, what am I experiencing right now that deserves my attention? At first, your brain might resist this change because it is used to the way it tells stories. But with practice, you can learn to control your thoughts instead of letting your brain edit your experience. Superpower 3: Authorship. The third and most powerful superpower is choosing what happens in your life. Your brain is always editing your memories and creating your identity, so you might as well take control of this process. This doesn't mean lying to yourself or ignoring the facts. It means understanding that you can choose how to interpret your experiences. The same event can be a sign of your victimhood or proof of your resilience, depending on how you choose to remember and interpret it. Think about two people who both had difficult childhoods. One person's brain focuses on memories of feeling helpless, being treated unfairly, and experiencing harm. They see themselves as hurt and think that their relationships will always be like that. The other person's brain focuses on memories of survival, learning, and growth. They see themselves as strong and their relationships as chances to make new patterns. The facts of their childhoods might be the same, but their feelings about those times and the results of that are very different. This isn't positive thinking or denial. It's a way of collecting and organizing memories. Dr. Timothy Wilson's research on story editing shows that people who consciously change the way they tell their stories experience measurable improvements in mental health, relationships, and even physical wellness. When you change the story you tell yourself about who you are, you literally change who you become. The technique is simple. Regularly ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this experience, and is this story helping me grow? If a memory often makes you feel helpless, angry, or stuck, try to see it in a different way. What did you learn? How did you grow? What strengths did you develop? This isn't about making it seem like bad things didn't happen. It's about not letting your past control your future. Your memories are already made up, so you might as well write better fiction. Jennifer is a therapy client. She spent years defining herself by a traumatic relationship that ended badly. She kept telling herself and others that she had been betrayed, that she couldn't trust her own judgment, and that she was damaged goods. After learning about memory's ability to be changed, she began to edit this story on purpose. The facts are the same, but the emphasis is different. She survived a difficult experience, learned important lessons about boundaries, and developed greater self-awareness. Her dating life changed in a few months. This wasn't because her past changed, but because her relationship with her past changed. Remember, you're not trying to convince yourself that terrible things were actually wonderful. You understand that every experience has many possible meanings, and you choose which ones to focus on as you continue to live your life. This conscious authorship goes beyond traumatic experiences. Instead of seeing career setbacks as problems, you can see them as opportunities to try new things. You can see your social awkwardness as a sign of your true self. Instead of seeing your sensitivity as a weakness, see it as a superpower. The key is consistency and repetition. If you catch yourself thinking about a negative story from your past, stop and ask yourself, what else can I learn from this experience? What version of this story helps me grow and feel good? Your brain will eventually accept these new interpretations and change your sense of identity. You're not changing what happened, you're changing what it means. In the study of the human mind, meaning is very important. Here's the ultimate truth about memory and identity. You don't have to let your past experiences define you. You are the writer of your own story. Your memories aren't meant to be a perfect record of who you were. They're meant to be a compass that points toward who you can become. Every morning, you get to choose what happens next. You can focus on the memories that make you feel strong and change the ones that make you feel weak. You can choose to see yourself as strong instead of damaged, as growing instead of stuck, as creating your future instead of being trapped by your past. Your identity isn't something you discover. It's something you create, one memory at a time, one interpretation at a time, one choice at a time. The person you thought you were is already gone. Now, you are a different person because of all the changes you've made. The question isn't whether this will continue happening, it will. The question is whether you'll take control of the editing process or let your brain work on autopilot. Maybe our memories aren't meant to be an exact record of who we were, but a guide that shows us who we can become. If this video made you see things differently and helped you understand yourself better, please like it and subscribe for more videos about the mysteries of the human mind. Your future self, the person you choose to be, will thank you for it. Remember, the story of your life is still being written. Make sure you're holding the pen.